Alright, hello everyone. Today, I just wanted to give you a review. My family and I just went to see Into the Woods at the Kennedy Center, and I just wanted to give you a review in case there's another performance, which there probably is, and so that you know what to expect. So, I found that the witch was a really good singer. I had really high expectations for this production going in, because I've seen a lot of different productions, and I've heard that the Kennedy Center is a really good place, which, yes, it is. And so I was expecting it to be, really, really good, and it turned out, yes, it was. The orchestra was right up on the stage. I did not know that, but
usually it's hidden in an orchestra pit, but this time it was right there.
Right there to see.
Yeah.
For those who can see, because as some of you may know, I'm blind.
I think my favorite character was Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
So not a little girl. She was mean and rude, not scared, banished a knife. She took me totally by surprise.
So, I have seen many productions, as I've said, and I must say Little Red Riding Hood was my favorite as well. At the beginning of the first act, because there are two acts in this play, but at the beginning of the first one, she seemed a little different than she seemed pretty similar to a lot of the other Little Red Riding Hoods. Especially, she reminded me of the original Broadway or the movie. And speaking of the original Broadway production, the person who played Milky White returned for this production.
The puppeteer? Yeah. Oh.
I was saying the person who said, so at the end of the first act, at least for this one, the person who played the cow actually said gulp.
Yeah, he did a couple roles. He was the puppeteer for the Milky White, and then he did some of the birds. So he did some of the tweeting for the birds.
Oh, I was actually talking about a different person, I think.
No, it's the same person.
He said gulp?
Yes. And he was carrying one of the giant's shoes. So he did a lot of the prop work. That was extremely clever. Knowing that you can't really show a giant on stage, you just use the big shoes.
I'm wondering how they made some of the sounds, too.
Yeah, it seemed like with the giant steps, it kind of sounded like a timpani drum.
Yes, you are awesome at that. Like, I'm supposed to be the music major here.
I've got one skill. It's recognizing giant steps.
It did sound like some kind of drum.
Yeah, you could kind of see the drums and they were large, but I couldn't see like any specific one. Well, I think this was your Christmas present, wasn't it?
Yeah, I got to go to this production because it was a Christmas present, and I was really excited. I was told that it would have some of the same people as the 2022 Broadway cast, and I was really excited. And when I listened to the soundtrack, at first it didn't seem as good as I was hoping, but this play, this production, with the voices and all, get it? Production voices?
Okay.
Some of you may not get it, but I can go into it in my next music video. But they were a lot better in this than on the soundtrack.
There's something about live productions you just can't copy.
I mean, it's
I've
like...
always felt that way about concerts, going to hear bands play live. I always think they're like exponentially better than any CD I've heard.
I usually find it's the other way around, but I think that this one, it's not just that it was live, it's that the way they did their performance on the, like, for this production was better than on the soundtrack. Not just the fact that it's live and everything.
Do you remember some of the things that you were pointing out to me that was different or added? Do you remember what any of those things?
Yes, I remember a few of them. Let me know if there's anything I missed, though. So, in the, if you've seen Into the Woods, you will know what I am talking about. So, in I Know Things Now, which is the song where Little Red comes out of the wolf and starts singing about her experiences. She, in most productions, she actually sings the whole thing, but in this one, for when she says, "Granny is right, just be prepared," she actually speaks when saying, "Granny is right. Granny is right, just be prepared." And then towards the end, I remember in the original Broadway, they didn't mention the tower. And I don't know about, after No One Is Alone, but before the finale, because unfortunately I couldn't stay for that. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, I can't, really go into the details in a video, but
Were there other things that you noticed that were different?
I noticed, well, as I briefly pointed out earlier, when they were feeding the objects to the cow, there was someone who actually said gulp. Now, usually, you would get either what I would guess is a gulping sound of like, or in the case of the movie, the sound of the objects going to the cow. So yeah, it was a little different. I can't remember exactly how my school did it for the junior version, but yeah, those are the biggest things.
Because you were the piano accompaniment for your high school production.
Yeah, at my high school, I was the main person playing the piano for the production.
So that makes you
are parts I still don't know, but I do know quite a bit of it. And I gotta say, in the second act of Into the Woods, of this production in particular, when the giant appeared, it felt so real to me. Like, I actually thought I
Actually felt some fear.
a little bit. Like
Like a good scary movie.
Felt some vibration.
yeah. Good point. I almost
I don't know.
I felt a bit of a vibration as the steps of the giant happened.
We were counting the number of speakers. I think we counted.
Yeah, we actually counted the number of speakers before the show began, and there were 28 on the left, right?
I think there might have been 28 on the sides. Like it was 14
On
on the
the-
side.
Oh, 28 total on the sides.
And then there was at least 14 down the middle, but
And
I
then
couldn't count them
At least 14 down the middle. And then I think there was like an overhead one.
all. That's right.
The sound was really well modulated. Even
Well, what?
Moderated, modulated. Even the loudest sounds were not painful to me.
Right, they weren't painful for me either.
Yeah.
Like, it was actually
Balanced.
balanced, yes.
They must have a good sound technician.
Yeah. I think so. But in terms of the singing in this one, I think that in the first act, Cinderella's mother, not the stepmother, but her actual mother, by the grave, like in Cinderella at the grave, and when she, when the prince passes her, as the sisters have tried on the slipper, and also when Cinderella rides off with him. Her singing was probably the best in the first act. I know Rapunzel was also really good, but I can't tell if she's, the best, because the only thing she sang was ah. So, but Cinderella's mother got real words. And so...
What do you think was the best song in the second act? The best singing?
The best singer in the second act was the witch. So when comparing the movie to this production, I would say while the witch was best at, acting, or at some points in the movie, a lot of times she was still really good at acting in this one, sometimes better than the movie, but her singing, especially in Stay With Me and even Last Midnight, I really felt it on the word world in Last Midnight.
There was a huge moon that appeared on the stage during the last midnight and slowly lowered down. It took up, I'd say, a third of the stage.
What was it, a blue moon?
It was yellow against a maybe blue background.
But it changed color for emphasis.
Oh, did it?
It turned red at some point.
The reason why I asked if it was blue is because in the movie, at the beginning of, or towards the middle, I guess, of the prologue, the witch says a line that is not in the play, like in the musical stage version, she says, "'Tis then the blue moon reappears, which comes but once each 100 years."
Once in a blue moon.
Oh, I didn't even think of that when watching the movie. Thank you.
That's a saying.
Once in a blue moon, yeah.
The staging was very simple. So the
Simple, but I kind of liked the description. So downstage, as in the script, which I've read parts of, there were 3 houses. The first house had a bucket, so you could, if you didn't, look at the program, you wouldn't know really whose house it was, but looking at the program, you could probably tell that was Cinderella, and it was. So
How many different fairy tales does it encompass?
let's see. I watched an MTI conversation piece with Stephen Sondheim and James Lapine,
Mm-hmm.
where they talk about all the different fairy tales. I don't remember it exactly, but I'll leave a link in the description.
Well, so there was little.
So there
Red
was,
Riding Hood.
so there, I'm going to, yeah, there was Little Red Riding Hood. So there was Cinderella, Jack and the Beanstalk, Little Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, and then the creators of Into the Woods, they've said they kind of created their own.
When they also allude to Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
Good.
Yeah, yes.
Oh,
Oh, yes. I almost. And Sleep. Wait, what? Let's see. Cinderella, Jack and the Beanstalk, Little Red, Rapunzel, one that they made up. Although some have, online I found a comment that said that it could be, the baker and his wife could be the same as those from Thumbelina.
Oh.
I haven't.
You know what?
They didn't. Like Stephen Sondheim and James Lapine didn't say anything about those, about Thumbelina, but I'm not as familiar with that one.
I love that story. Okay, so 5 or 6 fairy tales are woven in.
Oh wait, Snow White, and wait a minute, Sleeping Beauty was also.
How?
Let me just.
Because he talks about
High in her tower, like yours was, but higher, a beauty asleep.
when they're pining over new.
All around the tower, a thicket of briar, 100 feet deep. In, now you get to hear my, singing voice for the first time.
Well, is there any other ones?
Any other,
Golden Goose, right?
Well, that I think is Jack and the Beanstalk.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I don't remember a golden goose being it.
I think it is.
Oh,
That is
the hen. Yeah, that is from Jack and the Beanstalk.
So this
So
to plug into.
The Witch was overall better in this version, but I must say that the princes were better in not only the movie from 2014, but also they were better in the original Broadway.
So how were they better? I thought they were funnier in the movie.
So
They were funny, but they're like even more overdramatic. No.
So they were funny in some ways where I actually had to ask my mom why people were laughing, because, they didn't say anything at times that struck me as funny.
Yeah, there was some physical comedy that to give you a description.
I had to,
Clowning around, non-verbal humor.
yeah, non-verbally, which unfortunately, because I am blind, I just could not tell.
No, I was confused about the sign says
Is this related?
into the woods from Broadway.
Yeah.
We closed on Broadway. It opened here. So this is different than the Broadway production?
Yes. There were a few different cast members.
Yeah, some of them, when we were reading their bios, said that they were from Broadway into the woods, and then some of them were not.
So when they go on the road, they might pick up new actors, new singers.
Yeah.
Right, I know that Stephanie Block, I think it was, she said she was from Broadway. However, that is not the SB that I remember being on Broadway for Into the Woods, at least for the soundtrack. So, on the soundtrack, Sarah Bareilles was the baker's wife. And I think she did a really good job. And in some places, the actress who played her in this production was not as good, but in some places I found she was better.
Like where?
I don't know the specifics, but I remember that it was really good. And I was wondering how they did the... Do you remember, Mom, at the beginning of the second act, when there was a rumbling sound?
Yeah.
How did they do that?
That might have been a sound effect. I don't know that I saw anything particular with the orchestra, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably a sound effect.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there might have been something in the percussion section. I didn't notice it.
And what about for the things falling from shelves? Did they actually drop things?
So they actually knocked over. There wasn't much of a physical set, but one of the things they had was a cart in the baker's home, and it had like plates and bread and stuff on it. That actually got knocked over.
Oh, wow.
So that would have led to some of the sound, I think. And they had part of the scenery was broken stuff. It wasn't anything that we saw break, but it was there to sort of like give that feel.
Wow, that's a visual aspect that I did not know. So like, that's why, oh, wow. So, I was actually thinking of kind of making my own little, version to help, performers, or like to help people who, maybe do not have, like those, like if there's someone who does not know anyone who is, really good at different instruments, I was thinking of, making a version for those kinds of people. Like of the music.
Push you, Alexander.
Go ahead, Grim.
I'm not sure that I care for the way they use blindness in the production.
Blindness?
Blindness.
So just to make sure, you're referring to the parts when the prince fell into the thorns and that blinded him,
There's that, and also
and the pigeons and the sisters and the stepmother.
Yeah, I feel like they say at one point that they're punished with blindness, but not everybody who's blind is being punished. You know?
So I mean, I get that, but so the reason why it says they were punished with blindness, that was in the original Brothers Grimm fairy tale. And in terms of the prince, that was also in the Brothers Grimm.
Brothers Grimm. We're quite grim.
They are not politically correct.
In terms of our days today, they're not. But
When are their stories from?
I mean, the first edition of their tales, that first edition was from 1812, but some of them had, even older versions, I think from 1806.
Isn't that amazing? They're still telling those stories today, and they're filling like movie theaters, and they're filling the Kennedy Center to tell a story that old.
And some of them, before the Brothers Grimm did it, they were adapted from other people. Like, for example, Cinderella was originally a story called Cendrillon by Charles Perrault.
Oh, I remember you learning about
From, I think it was the 1600s.
that.
Or something like that.
Well, should we wrap up your video?
Almost. Yeah, so I just wanted to touch briefly on some more of the music, because, I am a music major. So, in Stay With Me, that one actually made me cry. Because at first, the way which it felt like she was, yelling at Rapunzel just for having a prince around. And I know she was trying to be protective, but that is not a good way to go.
It has to do with the music.
I was getting to that part. After that, just the way she was singing to her, and don't you know, when she was saying, don't you know what's out there in the world, and everything after that was just, oh my gosh, so beautiful.
And as a parent and a grandparent, I could totally relate to the feeling of wanting to protect the children, but not from the world, but not being able to.
I was gonna say it definitely hit a little different to sit next to my mother and my son.
Yeah, and this is the first time seeing a production where I have, a baby brother, and I know he was not there with us, but it definitely seemed a little different. And the part that in terms of that, the part that when Rapunzel was stepped on by the giant, that was sad already, but coming to, think about it again, that hits differently than it did before.
Wonder how they made that sound effect.
Yeah. It wasn't quite like that.
Boom, splat.
That's what the witch said in Last Midnight.
Yep.
Splat.
But I'm wondering, actually what they used for it.
Yeah.
A wicker chair.
Doubt it. And just a fair warning to those who go and maybe haven't seen it, haven't seen any version of Into the Woods, film or stage.
First of all, what's wrong with you? Go see 1,000 versions of it. But
Or at least
Sure.
one. At least one. Anyway, there are a few times throughout the play, or musical, I keep calling it a play. Oh well. A few times throughout Into the Woods where people scream. And if you are someone like me who is, sensitive to those kinds of things, you may not know, where they are, where those screams will happen. So I would suggest, instead of, just going to a live production, if you are someone like that who is sensitive to, noises such as screaming, or even if you're especially sensitive to the sound of babies crying, which I am, you might want to, watch a video version of the production, or not of the production, but the musical, before you decide to whether to go see it live.
good advice.
And even though I had seen several, videos and different productions, I was not prepared for some of the things they added, which that could be another thing to talk about. So they added some, visual things, as Mom was mentioning, they had the princes move around more, and you said throw themselves?
Mm-hmm. They're very dramatic and they're gesturing.
Wow. Yeah, in addition to that, and the tower part towards the end, there were a few more screams than I was expecting. They weren't long, but yeah. And when the giant appeared, that, I generally didn't know, I felt like I was, in that group, of the people who are trying to, figure out what to do.
We're almost done.
But yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed that production. I know I couldn't stay till the end because I was really crying when we left, because there's a song, No One Is Alone, that really gets to me every time. And I know I did cry a few other times, but that one hits me the hardest. And I already was, crying as we were leaving from hearing it. But yeah, good musical, good production. Have a good night.
Speech. Stop recording. Stop recording.